Well, look here, Jus. We're back with another episode
I'm looking.
of the Hidden Threads podcast.
It's a glorious day.
Glorious day. We just took a little walk. What'd you think?
It was very nice outside.
It is. Little nip in the air, but it's not too bad.
No, it's not bad at all.
What do you think about the horses?
They're pretty cool.
They're pretty cool.
Yeah.
That one big baby one.
Yeah,
He don't know he's a baby.
Yeah, well, he'll figure it out one day.
He's 1,500 pounds, and he don't.
Yeah, he's a big baby.
He's a big boy, big Belgian horse. So today we got. I scrolled right on past it. Dram Shop. You ever heard of that?
Yes.
Tell me what you know about it.
That's who's to blame for your drunkenness getting in an accident or killing somebody.
Right. Okay. Who's responsible, right?
Right.
Yes. If you drink and drive, you're responsible. But the courts allow lawyers to take it a step further and say that the bar or the restaurant is responsible too.
Right.
You ever seen that before?
Oh, yes.
Do you think that the bar or restaurant is responsible for people once they leave that building?
No.
You don't think so?
No, not it. Well, it depends. If you know the person's driving
Mm-hmm.
and you know they shouldn't be driving
Mm-hmm.
and you let them go and there's an accident right outside your establishment as
Right.
soon as they walk out the door and they've killed two people,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, you're kind of responsible. You could have cut them off.
So I'm kind of the one where I don't think the establishment is like you said, overall responsible for it.
No.
But they get sued a lot. They have to have a lot of insurance to cover this.
There's one I know of. I hope they have $1 billion policy because it happens all the time.
You know of one that happened?
Yeah.
Tell me about it.
Yeah. It's in Florida. It's a small bar in Port St. John, Florida. I'm telling you, it's like multiple accidents a month outside that establishment for a short period of time.
Mm-hmm.
There's one pulled out from there. They got sued because the guy pulled out of there right into traffic and killed somebody on a motorcycle.
Right.
That was like the fourth one in like 2 months. It happens all the time there. I don't know what it is.
Right. So we had a case. This was in Huntsville, and I'm going to tell you the places and everything. I don't care. It's already over. But this was a case where this young kid, he's about 17. He went to one bar restaurant place, visibly drunk. There's a lot of witnesses saying the kid could barely stand up there. All right. They kept serving him drinks. Underage, big problem, right?
Ooh, imagine that.
Happens all the time. Left there, drove to another place, visibly drunk, drank there as well, and then ended up at the big strip club in Huntsville, the Pony.
Oh,
The Pony over in the east side of Huntsville over there.
the Pink Pony.
That's a big old place. It's
Yeah,
a
it
big,
is.
big establishment. But he was there for about 4 hours. They said he was passed out a few times, like asleep. And now if that happens, you're supposed to be removed anyways.
Right.
Or I don't want you in there like that. And he threw
So
up.
he was bar hopping?
Yeah.
Okay.
He threw up and stuff. And then he left there and got in a wreck going about 100 miles an hour and killed a guy. Right. So we got hired there to go find witnesses saying, hey, this kid was drunk, or, because they were suing the establishments. And they did. They got about $7.5 million. His estate did. Or not the victim's estate, not the kid that was drunk. Right. And from these establishments, from their insurance, right? Because we had multiple witnesses that came forward and said, yeah, this kid was drunk, and they kept serving him. We actually got footage off of we had to lie and say we were looking for footage for something else. And they actually turned the footage.
Is it really a lie?
It's a pretext.
Yes.
They actually turned the footage over to us. Rarely happens, by the way. They normally just said, get a subpoena or whatever. But they gave us that. And we got a pretty good cut of that, by the way. It was pretty nice. But,
good.
I don't necessarily agree with it. Now, I love the attorney we're working for, Mark Jackson. He's an awesome lawyer, and we were doing that for him. That's called drunk. What? Did I have a stroke?
Spit it out.
Did I have a stroke?
Not
Juice?
yet.
I'm working on it. We got a full-size fly now, Juice.
Do we really?
Not a gnat anymore. It's full-size. He's right here on the camera tripod. But anyways.
Oh, he's going to get it.
I can't see anything but this fly now. He's on the camera lens.
I'm going to get my first confirmed kill in your office.
Don't hit the camera, though. Those things are expensive. But we'll let him go. But yeah, we do that. We've done quite a few of those. None of them were as significant as that one. But we had another one, a couple more where, yeah, we went out and got some witness interviews and they paid them or settled out of court or whatever. That gets into wrongful death, the car crashes. You've helped me with a few of those.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people think we're going out and reenacting the crime. Well, we can. We can go out and do all that. They typically don't want that. All right. What are they normally looking for?
No, but you can go on scene if there's yaw marks, if there's skid marks, if there's kind of you can read. They actually have a special course for this in the academies, but you can read all the marks and stuff and figure out who's at fault.
So we get them about 6 months after they happen.
Right.
You think those yaw marks are any good?
No. If you can catch it right away, you're good.
We never do. We get them way after the fact.
Yeah.
We're typically looking for eyewitnesses, though. That's what we're looking for. And what gets me is on the police report, the responding officer will put, hey, here's 4 witnesses. And then we get on the phone with them or meet them in person. They're like, I didn't see nothing.
Right.
I mean, I think they're telling the truth.
You mean like the 4 we just talked to again?
Yeah. I mean, they were there. They just didn't see the truck driver speeding or anything. Right. They just saw they kind of drove up on the aftermath. You know? We rarely get a person that's an eyewitness. I wish we could get more of those. But what do you think of these wrecks? Do you like working them?
Oh, they're not my favorite.
Kind of boring, aren't they?
Yeah. They're the hardest one. For me, I think they're the hardest ones. Because you can't, you're really, without somebody actually saying, hey, I was there, I seen it.
Right.
You're really just, it's a long journey to get from beginning to end on these.
Right. Now, we did one up in Tennessee a few years back where we actually went out with a drone and showed the side of the wreck and all that from a top view. We actually drove the route showing, we were actually on this one, we were on the side of the truck driver. We got hired by his company to show that he was not speeding. And we actually drove it and showed that you could not, there's absolutely zero chance that you could go 70 miles an hour like was on the police report in that area. It was impossible. You couldn't do it because of the curves.
You mean they made a mistake?
Yes. And they actually, so the insurance was going to pay, obviously. Right. But they were being sued for an extraordinary amount, because they were saying that they're being negligent. You throw negligence in there, then that's when they can sue you for bigger amounts beyond what the insurance pays. And that's what was happening. And we actually got out and drove it and showed that I was in a car and the speed limit was 45. And I got up to about 58 before I started losing, like I'm going to run off the road type thing.
In a car? In
a little 4-door sedan.
Yeah.
So imagine being in a big rig pulling a gas tank behind you.
Not going to happen.
I've talked to the driver many times because there's no way I could have been going that fast.
Yeah.
So the person just pulled out in front of him is what it is. So that's what we decided. And that's what the court decided. The person just made a mistake, pulled out in front of him and got whacked. It happens, right?
It does.
And so, yeah, we do these kind of cases quite a bit. I wouldn't say they're not as common as our domestic cases where we get one a day sometimes, right?
Right.
We'll get these every once in a while. And it's typically from Mark Jackson. If it wasn't for him, I probably wouldn't work him at all. Now, back when I first started, I did some for Shannara. Alexander, the billboard lawyer.
Yes.
By the way, you don't actually talk to him. He's got about 600 lawyers that work for him.
Right,
but they're good folks, though. We did a lot of them. And they don't like paying my full fee, though.
Well, of course not.
I mean, it's only a $500 million company, and they couldn't pay me $200 an hour.
Well, they're worried about their money. Coffee break money and stuff.
Coffee break money?
Yeah.
But, they would get into, now, Shannara and them, they would get into just straight-up car crashes where Mark Jackson typically deals with dram shop and he deals with 18-wheelers. So I'm giving him a shout-out here today, ain't I?
You are. You're doing a good job.
I'm sure he appreciates it.
I hope so.
But, yeah, the 18-wheeler ones is the one we typically get involved with. And now, if an 18-wheeler driver is being negligent and they cause a death or an injury, yeah, they should be held accountable and that family should get some money.
Yeah, I agree.
Opinion. But if they're not, and people just trying to scam them out of some money, then they shouldn't.
See, that's the world we're getting into right now. I mean, it's started with what? A cup of hot coffee at McDonald's.
Oh, yeah.
The lady got $1 million because, coffee's hot.
Did she get paid for that?
Oh, yeah.
Because it scalded her?
Yeah. Imagine that. Coffee's hot.
So I got in the shower this morning and it was too hot. Should I sue the water heater company?
Absolutely.
It hurt a little bit.
Absolutely. Well, you have thinner skin.
Thinner skin.
Yeah.
But
yeah, you look around. That's how all this started. Now we're up to the point where everybody's trying to see who they can sue, so they don't have to work and actually go out and earn their money.
Actually produce.
Yeah,
that's crazy talk, Juice.
I know.
But yeah, we're gonna take a break though. We'll come back and we're gonna get into one where it was a workplace accident. You ever dealt with those?
Love those.
All right, we'll get into that in just a minute. Hey everybody, Macky here. I just want to get into what we actually do here at Macky Outlaw Private Investigators. So we conduct domestic investigations, which include your adultery and custody cases. You may have a cheating spouse that you're wanting to find out, or you may have shared custody and you're wanting to find out what the other parents are doing, maybe prove that they're not good parents for a custody modification. Also, what we do is criminal defense investigations. That's where people get in trouble and they need help proving their innocence. It could be either pre-conviction or post-conviction. So if you know people in those situations, just give us a ring. Also, we work missing person cases. That's where we track down people that are missing. It can be children, teenagers, all the way to senior adults. So if you have a case like that, how we work those cases is we use surveillance. We locate and find witnesses and interview them. Also conduct digital forensics where we extract deleted data and locate those digital artifacts to help your case. If you need those types of investigations done, you can always click the link and contact us. You can call us directly at 866-910-7499. That's 866-910-7499. Or visit us on the web at MackyOutlaw.com. Thank y'all. All right, hey, this is Macky. We're back for second part of this thing, and today we're talking about wrongful death cases. All right, we talked about dram shop a little bit, and we got into car crashes, specifically 18-wheeler crashes. Now, we had a case, this was last year I worked, and it was a workplace accident where a young man got killed. All right, it was terrible. The photos of this scene were awful. All right, it was a hand truck. It was an automated hand truck, and this guy was moving a deep freezer up a set of stairs up to a mezzanine. And the automated hand truck, this is the first time I'd seen one. You've probably been around more than me, Juice, so you've probably seen them. But picture moving a refrigerator with hand trucks up steps.
Yep.
Well, this thing had a little climbing mechanism that would help you lift it up the steps. It would climb up, all right? And this young man, there was two of them doing it, and he was on the bottom underneath the deep freezer, okay? And it turned loose and fell on him and killed him, all right? Crushed his skull right there on the concrete. Well, he fell back, hit his head on the steps, and then the freezer mashed his head, crushed his skull. He was dead almost instantly. Right. They said he lived for a few minutes, but I don't think he was with it when he was alive, because a head injury like that, you're not going to survive.
Yeah, he's probably DRT.
So we got hired to go start talking to these people and seeing what really happened. We reenacted it, but the guys they were working for a retail company that sold refrigerators and deep freezers and those things. And we got into, hey, did you get any training with this? They said, yeah, we did. Did you do any maintenance on this? Well, we rent them from a rental company. That's what they didn't use them that often. So they would rent them from a rental company and use them because they're very expensive products. So if you're not doing a lot of that type of moving, then there's no need to keep one on stock. Just go rent it, right?
Right.
And we got to doing it. We actually rented one and reenacted it, and it worked great. It worked fine. I was like, man, this thing's pretty sweet. I was actually the one handling it, me and another guy. And we got to looking at the one. We got to look at the one that actually that happened, and the climbing mechanism. It would work most of the time, but every once in a while it would slip, and there's a chain in there, and it would slip and not climb and just and go back down a few steps. Does that make sense to you? It would go up, and every once in a while the thing would slip, and it would go pop, pop, pop back down.
Right.
It would make that noise, pop, pop, pop.
Oh, it would.
But anyway, so we got to looking at this thing. We got the manual out for it. And there was a 6-month maintenance program you're supposed to follow with oil and checking lugs, tightening lugs, okay? Because this thing carried a lot of torque, and sometimes things loosen up, and you had to get a torque wrench. And every 6 months, you're supposed to check it if this thing had been used.
Right.
And we said, hey, we asked the rental company, hey, where's your maintenance records? And, of course, they didn't want to talk to us anymore after that.
Oh, imagine that.
They could not produce maintenance records, okay? And it had this thing for about 4 years. And and because they did not want to follow the manufacturer's guidelines, then this young man got killed for it. What do you think of that?
Yeah, that's phenomenal. That's crazy. That's some of the stuff you don't.
This is a large rental company, national.
Yeah, you don't let stuff like that slide.
Yeah, this ain't mom and pop that's just getting by.
I guess maybe they're not thinking that it's people's lives at stake, but regardless, it is.
Right. And anything like that where it's got a life-saving equipment, like I call it life-threatening equipment, life-saving equipment, whatever you want to call it, you've got to maintain it. So
yeah, there should be checks on it. They should be followed.
Yeah. Now, this was kind of a small piece of equipment, but you told me a story when you worked for NASA in quality control.
Oh,
what were you checking? That you said thermal stuff.
Oh, we checked everything from body harnesses, fall pro equipment, brakes, any of the protective stuff that they used on site. We had to check, and it was done on a 6-month. And you visually checked it. You didn't pen whip anything.
You didn't pencil whip at all.
No, there was no gun deck in any of the logs. I had good bosses. So if we turned around and we said, hey, this is no good, they didn't question it, toss it, write it up, demill it, whatever we needed to do, excise it, get rid of it.
Now, when it left your office, though, did it ever get used? Did people override you?
Oh, absolutely. There was times that some of the safety equipment that shouldn't have been out there, you inspect it, you fail it, you still give it back to them. You say, hey, look, this failed inspection.
Here's my report with it, right? So
sure enough, wouldn't you know it, we go out to the pad, the launch pads, and sure enough, there's that lanyard, there's that fall pro, there's that brake, there's the harness that we just failed, and people are using it.
Right. So if that's happening at the safety equipment level with the workers, right? What's happening on the actual spaceship level?
It's everything goes wrong. So one of the things I'd go and inspect were high pressure systems and lines, and we called. They had the wrong tubing, the wrong seamless tubing in a high pressure area.
Right.
So we called safety on it and say, look, this ain't gonna go. Called the safety engineer, called the design engineer. I said, I'm not passing this. It's not getting done. They replaced that piece of equipment, that piece of tubing, and they put the right wall thickness tubing in there. And then I'm like, okay, well, this is a high pressure line. This is over 7,000 PSI in this line. And there's no guard in front, and this thing's at eye level. I put a stop, halt all production on this thing, and it went up the line. And every time they come back down, the next highest person would say, it's good, let it ride. Well, I said, no, it's not good. We're not letting it ride.
Right.
Went all the way up top to the biggest safety engineer we had, and he said, let it go.
Because they got a timeline to meet, man.
Oh, of course. Now, here you are. You're putting people's lives at stake. The technicians, for one. The guys that are building this, the guys that are going to operate it, the guys that are implementing it, astronauts.
You got the pilots, yeah.
Right? So here's a crew of human lives sitting on top of this giant Roman candle, and you're going to trust something like this? At what point do you put a value?
Well, if you look at some of the latest accidents we had with NASA, it came back to hand waving quality control, right?
Yes.
Both of them, I think. Well, the latest one in Texas, where it came scattered across Texas, was.
So that was a filler in between the tiles that caused
the tiles
that.
Is an issue, right? They knew it was an issue, and they kept pushing it through.
So when they put the tiles on, the tiles are done individually. Okay,
it's like doing tile work, basically. Right?
Yeah, you're doing tiles, and they put spacers between them. Somebody didn't take out the spacer. That's what caused it.
Oh, the little spacers. Like if I was doing my bathroom, you would put a spacer so you get that little nice little crease in there.
Yeah, a little bit higher tech, but basically, yeah.
But they do them on that so it can expand and contract, right?
Right, because you have to have that space.
Because it gets super hot coming in.
Yeah.
How hot is it coming through the atmosphere?
2,800 to 3,300 degrees Fahrenheit.
Nice.
Yeah.
You could fry an egg on that.
So, but if you'd see the tiles, you'd be like, there's no way this is protecting the astronauts. I actually
Is it ceramic?
The tiles. Well, it's made of sand.
Okay.
Well, it's sand. It's so light. And they have 8-pound density, they have 17-pound density and 22-pound density.
Well, weight is a big issue when you're propelling things through space. So,
and I don't mean 8 PSI. It's 8 pounds per foot. So you can stand on it and crush this tile. You can put your finger on it and crush the tile.
Okay. But nothing's supposed to be impacting. It's just heat resistant is the concept,
yes,
right?
Yes.
So, like it's not holding
right.
pressure or.
And you'll see it. The ones that take the most heat are the ones you see. They're the black tiles.
Okay.
Those are
Towards the nose?
hottest points.
Toward the nose of the craft.
Right. Hottest points right there. So they have a special coating on them and everything.
Mm-hmm.
So if you screw up and there's a crack on that tile and you let it go through or you cause it, if there's any type of deformation whatsoever, you could get those people killed.
You start scattering bodies across Texas.
Correct.
So not only does it put the pilots in jeopardy, when these things go, stuff falls out of the sky all over the place.
Absolutely.
You get people on the ground.
Absolutely.
But so when a major incident like that happens, who investigates it? Who investigates NASA?
Well,
National Aeronautic. I mean, FAA probably is involved.
Everybody's involved.
Anything flying through the air is FAA, right?
Everybody's involved.
FBI.
It goes down to you actually have to, as the technician, you actually are on what they call the work order for that.
Mm-hmm.
If your name's anywhere with that work order, you're going to get investigated.
You're getting talked to.
Yeah.
Right. You know what's funny though? I wouldn't say it's funny. What's interesting is NASA there for a while, and these things would happen. Nobody would get fired. And it took years for them to figure out, hey, these people need to go.
So, yeah, but part of the problem is the investigations are so in-depth and so lengthy, it takes a long time.
Right. But if it showed that you may be liable, I would say you're laid off until this is over. So,
right.
But they keep working there.
Right.
So.
I have an issue when it comes to, I'm a little bit of a prideful craftsman.
Mm-hmm.
So when I was machining, making guns and stuff for a certain gun company.
I know it.
They're junk, but knowing that there's a safety issue, there's a flaw in that thing. My thing was, hey, what if it's your relative getting that weapon out on the front lines downrange and that weapon fails because you said, it'll pass. So
these weapons Jus is talking about, we actually used them downrange and they were awful guns.
Yes.
I had it one time and I put it back and got the old trusty bolt gun out.
Yeah, they're good. If you want to, if you have a John boat and you need an anchor,
right?
If you tie a couple of these together, that'll work perfect.
There was supposed to be a minute of angle weapon, and it was not a minute of angle. We viced one in one day trying to show. We just proved a point to our boss, and I'm like, we benched it in and everything, and you could not. You might hit the black square at 100 yards, 1 out of 10 rounds.
Yeah. If you get a production weapon, you're done. If you get one, they have one gentleman there that was very detailed, and if he was building you a gun, a weapon, it was good to go. That's 1 out of thousands, multiple tens of thousands of weapons.
All right, well, back to the guy that got killed by the deep freezer falling on him. His wife got a couple million out of the rental company, which she should have. But it all comes back to quality control, doing your maintenance. If the manufacturer recommends this maintenance, and it's a piece of equipment that can kill you, you probably need to do it.
I would say that. Yeah.
All right. Well, if you got other comments or other stories about it, put it in the comments. Let's talk about it. You got anything else, Jus?
No. Start it in the comments.
Yeah. We get some comments sometimes. It comes and goes, but I want to hear it.
Yeah.
So like and subscribe.
Exactly.
All right. Say bye, Jus.
Bye, Jus.